The moment you really want something, and I mean really want it, your brain, it starts working against you. And the harder you chase it, the worse it gets. Today I'm going to show you exactly why that happens, what's actually going on inside your brain when you're trying to manifest something, and more importantly, what to do instead. Because once you understand the mechanism, everything changes. Now what most people who are trying to manifest actually do is, they visualize, they'll set an intention, and then they would go back to living their life. But every now and then they're wondering, has anything changed yet? Is this a sign? Or when is it finally going to happen? Now most of the time they don't even realize they're doing it, but that checking, that constant scanning is exactly what's destroying it. And I'll explain why. So your brain, it has what's called an amygdala. Amygdala, simply put, is your brain's alarm system. It's the part that's constantly deciding whether you're safe or you're under threat. And when you're anxiously scanning for whether your desire has arrived yet, your brain, it reads that as a signal that something is wrong, that maybe you're lacking or you're in a state of need. And a brain that thinks something is wrong, it doesn't go into creative, open, opportunity spotting mode. It rather goes into a survival and a protection mode. And it starts looking for threats, not possibilities and opportunities. And the problem over here is not wanting it, it's needing it. Now I'll share something which I'm sure you've experienced for yourself in your life. Let's say you met someone who is very needy and someone who needs something from you, and you can just feel it radiating off of them. And you know exactly how repellent that energy is. Without even thinking about it, you almost like pull back instinctively. And you don't want to give them what they want. And it's because the neediness itself pushes you away. That is the exact same energy you put out into the world when you're constantly checking whether your manifestation has arrived yet or not. The universe, or whatever word you want to use it for, it responds to that energy the same way you respond to a needy person. It pulls back. And now if chasing it is making it worse, let's also explore what actually works. Now your brain has another system which is known as the Reticular Activating System. Simply put, RAS. And what it does is very simple. It's your brain's filter. So every single second, even right now, your senses are picking up millions of pieces of information. Whether it's sounds or sights or conversations or opportunities and so on. And your brain, it cannot process all of it. So what RAS decides is what actually makes it into your conscious awareness and what gets filtered out. And how it determines what gets through is whatever you're holding on to as your dominant internal reality. So if your dominant internal reality is, I don't have this yet, or I'm waiting for this, or I'm lacking this, the RAS is turned to a lack. It filters your world through that lens. And it literally shows you evidence of absence. But when your dominant internal reality shifts, when you genuinely internally operate as if it's already done, the RAS, it starts surfacing things that match that. You know those opportunities you were walking past by, or conversations you were dismissing, or even paths that were always there but they were invisible to you because your filter wasn't tuned to them. And this is also what people in the spiritual and law of attraction world, they've often called it as raising your vibration. They were describing in their own language exactly what your brain's filter is doing. Now what's remarkable is Neville Goddard, who's one of the most influential spiritual teachers of 20th century, he was teaching this exact same idea back in the 1950s. And what he described, it perfectly maps onto what science has confirmed since. He said your imagination is your creative mechanism. What you consistently hold in your mind as already true, your brain, it begins to treat as already true. I'll repeat it again. What you consistently hold in your mind as already true, your brain, it begins to treat as already true. And when your brain treats something as already true, you change. You change how you show up. You change what you notice. You change what you reach for. And your external world, it begins to reflect that. Now I will show you exactly how Neville proved this, because this is where it gets really interesting. So he was giving a live seminar And he wanted to prove to his audience, many of whom were skeptical that this doesn't work, and it especially doesn't work whether you believe in it or not. He gave them a very simple experiment, and deliberately simple. He told them, tonight, before you fall asleep, imagine yourself climbing a ladder, feel the rungs under your hands while you're climbing, feel your body rising, and make it as real as you can in your mind, and then drift off to sleep while you're doing that. And he also told them that write on a piece of paper during the day, I will not climb a ladder. And then put that piece of paper somewhere they would see it often, whether it's a mirror or in their wallet, because that's a constant reminder to themselves that they had no intention of climbing a ladder. And then he said, let it go, don't think about it, and then come back next Sunday. The following Sunday, almost the entire audience returned, and almost all of them had climbed a real ladder through completely ordinary, unplanned circumstances. For some, a neighbor asked them for help. For someone, something needed fixing which required to climb a ladder. For some, a routine situation, it just appeared out of nowhere that happened to involve a ladder. Now, they had not forced it, they had not looked for a ladder, they had actually told themselves that they won't do it, and it happened anyways. Then Neville told them, now replace the ladder with anything you actually want. Because whatever you live in your imagination fully with feeling, your brain, it begins to externalize. That element which said, I will not, is a part of what makes this so brilliant, because it removes the desperation. You're not wanting the ladder, you're not checking for the ladder, you have zero emotional attachment to whether it shows up, and that the complete absence of need is exactly the state that allows it to work. Now, I will also explain the science behind why that state before the sleep is specifically very powerful for this, and I'll also explain what Neville told about this. So Neville called it SATS, which is state akin to sleep. That drowsy, that almost where you're sleepy but not fully asleep yet. So at that point of time, what he intuitively understood, and that has been backed by neuroscience since, is that in that state, the critical and analytical part of your brain, it goes quiet. The part that constantly is telling you that that's not real and that's not happened yet and who are you kidding, that part of your brain, it stands down. And what remains is the part of your brain that doesn't distinguish between something vividly imagined and something actually experienced. Now, brain imaging studies on athletes, it shows that when they visualize a movement, the same neural pathways fire as when they actually perform it. The brain, at this level, it treats the imagined experience as real. This is why SATs work. You're not tricking yourself, you're installing a new internal reality at the exact moment your brain is most receptive to receiving it. But there is one thing that quietly destroys all of this before it even gets a chance to work, and that's doubt. And most people, they treat doubt like it's an outside force which is attacking them. Like it kind of just shows up uninvited and there's nothing they can do about it. But I'll share with you a reframe that changes everything, that doubt is not the opposite of belief. Doubt is a belief. It's just a belief that it won't work. And because it's a belief, it's not a fact or a law or something fixed. It can be changed the same way any belief can be changed, which is by holding a different internal reality consistently enough that the brain begins to accept it as the default. Your brain, it filters your reality based on your dominant internal state. So when you're desperate and you're scanning, it filters for lack. When you genuinely hold the internal state of it being already done, the amygdala, it calms down. The RAS is tuned to possibility and the world starts reflecting that back to you. The practice is simple. Tonight, before you fall asleep, find that drowsy state which Neville calls SATS, and in that state, whatever it is that you want to bring into your life, hold that as already done. Not as a wish, not as a hope, as a fact that your brain is simply catching up to, then let it go. Don't check for it, don't scan for it, don't be needy about it, because the ladder does not care if you believe it, it just shows up. Now, if this helped you understand why letting go actually works, the next step is understanding how manifestation actually works through the lens of neuroscience. That video is in the description down below and on your screen, and I'll see you there.